Hey dudes, it's Daggs. Welcome to another episode of Jewelers University. If you watched my last episode where I was dark summoning heroes to prepare for boar hunts, you might have noticed that I have a lot of heroes to level up. And level ups are permanent, so it's kind of one of the more important parts of the game, right? If you have a rare warrior and you're facing down another rare warrior and they're the same level and have the same subclass, the difference maker is going to be stats. And those stats are gained or not gained during level ups. As of this recording date, February 6th, 2024, I believe the average level up is 8 stat points per level up. So if you got 8 stat points or better, you're in good shape. There are a few things you can do to maximize the stat points that you get when you are trying to level up, and we will talk through some of those things as well as giving a basic overview. Of course, when you're in Crystal Vale and you want to level up, you need to go to the meditation circle right here. We can also take a look in Serendale. I'll take any excuse to go to Serendale. I really just love this map layout. Alright, so we have our original Serendale castle here, and the meditation circle is down here. Of course, you can always get to it by going to the quick select menu or the drop down menu. Let's go back to Crystal Vale because that's where most of my heroes are. And let's take a look at what I have. So here's the heroes. Most of these, these are all the heroes that I summoned last episode. They all have 9 level ups. I would like these to be good heroes for PvE. Maybe a few of them will have some PvP value. PvP is not released yet, so I don't really know which ones will be valuable for PvP and which ones won't. Of course, if PvP is anything like any MMO that exists, there will be a shifting meta on that, so some heroes may rise and fall as far as PvP value. So maybe it's important to make a few variations of each. Let's look at some of the basics here of leveling up. Now, like I said, the difference maker here will be statistics. And all of this information I've extracted from the DFK documents. If you're not familiar with those, you can go to the drop down menu here on About Plus. There is a link called Docs. This will take you to the white paper docs where you can get all the information you need. So for example, I think I pulled most of this information from Hero and Stats. So if you go there, I literally ripped it out of there and just put it in one location. So you have hit points, how alive a hero is, mana points, how much points are remaining to cast spells and use skills. You have stamina, which lets you perform quests. Stamina is an interesting one because none of the stat points actually influence it. You have strength, which lets you, right now it lets you wear certain armor and weapons, and then determines how much your basic attack is, as well as adding to other special moves. All of these can be added to special moves, so I'm not going to say that with every single one. Dexterity, a small role in defense. I believe it affects how frequently you block with a shield, and it also modifies attack damage with certain weapons. We like it because it determines how frequently we hit. Agility, how many times a hero can go, how soon their next turn is, and it also affects evasion. So if you have that double foresight hero, you might want to boost up this agility. Vitality determines HP growth. It also has certain recovery benefits. So those auto cleanses that we've been seeing from the Void Hunt boar hunts, that's a vitality stat. If you want your hero to auto cleanse more, you want to boost that vitality. Usually the common meta right now is to boost vitality early because it adds bonuses to your HP as you go on. Endurance adds to your physical defense and debuff resistance. So if we get into a magic heavy team, fighting a magic heavy team that's constantly debuffing your heroes or casting certain things, I guess certain debuffs on your heroes. If you have a high endurance team, they'll be pretty resistant to that. Intelligence, it's a lot of the caster skills we're seeing give you bonuses for your intelligence modifier. It also modifies magic evasion, and it determines how much MP you have. Wisdom adds to certain attack rolls. It adds to, from what we see now, the healing spells for priests, so it's pretty important. It also determines your magic defense. A lot of our heroes right now have pretty low magic defense, so if they decide to ship out a Void Hunt that has a team that's heavily offensive in magic, I think a lot of us are going to be struggling there. It also has a small role in how much MP is gained when leveling up. And then luck. Luck determines your critical hit rate. It can determine your loot. It can determine how well you do at profession quests. It also has a small determinant, like the recovery skill, the evasion skill, all those kind of auto skills, like your save rolls, right? Luck has a little bit built into that. Honestly, I think luck's one of my favorite skills, just because it's kind of a wild card, and you can always see these skills from your heroes if you look at the first back of the cards. So from there we have the stats. How do I know where I want to put these stats in? So if I were to select a hero, alright, it's gonna say, hey, you need a bonus stat. Select a stat to receive a guaranteed +1 bonus during meditation, and then you have Gaia's Blessing. Select 2 stats to receive a 50% chance of a +1 bonus during meditation. These are pretty important to add to your hero, because you're getting definitely a +1 during meditation. How do I know where to put these? The first thing you need to do is determine the role of your hero. These heroes that I'm looking at, they're for combat. Okay, so I would want to put these into any stats that'll increase combat. But not all your heroes are going to be for combat. You're going to have profession heroes. You're going to have crafting heroes, and that will determine. If you want the best crafters and profession heroes, you're probably not going to boost the same points you would for a PvE hero or a PvP hero. And that being said, the stats for PvP may be different from PvE. For example, in World of Warcraft, the best tank for PvE had a certain amount of stats with certain abilities and certain resistances that just weren't important for PvP. Or maybe you're not even using a tank for PvP. So that definitely depends on the role of your heroes. And if you're doing a combat hero, that's going to be determined by the hero's codex. These are also listed on in the DFK documents. So if this one, for example, is a warrior, we were looking at a warrior just now. If I want a warrior to be involved in combat, I need to look at the skill set that I'm actually going to use and see what modifiers change those attacks. For example, I like Gladiator Strike. I start every fight with a Gladiator Strike. You deal 1 plus attack plus 70% of your strength score plus 70% of your endurance score raw damage to the enemy. You also have a chance of 50 plus 3 times your dex modifier .s, and so the .s one means out of all the warriors your level, percent chance to inflict bleed on the target. So if I'm just looking at this warrior, strength, endurance, dex are pretty important for just that move. But I also know that my warrior is probably going to be on my front line, so I'm probably going to want high HP. Depending on what I'm using this one for, is it going to be to fight magic heroes? I might want to up wisdom. Okay, and then definitely I'm going to want some agility, so that this hero can actually attack. But moving on to other abilities, some of them don't even depend on your stats. But if you look at like Bloodthirst, out of nowhere we want luck damage. Okay, we want a luck modifier. So will I need these critical will I need critical strikes as well for this warrior? Do I think that's important? So you have to kind of look through. Right now, there's no one doing the calculations on min-maxing warriors. You know, I asked Mr. Zipper the other day, has the team determined, you know, we're only level 20's been released, but I asked him, has the team determined calculations for the best amount of dexterity I'd want a level 100 hero to have in order to, you know, to be constantly hitting above a certain percentage, and they're, you know, the team's just kind of playing it by ear because there's so many variables with that, because I mean your hit chance is dependent on like the variables set by the weapon, by the hero, by the restrictions of the type of move you're doing. So we don't have all the data, and no one's really crunching the numbers yet. I could probably make a whole other video about that. And so we don't know. The point is, we don't know how to perfectly min-max heroes right now. So right now you have to make your best judgment. And that's kind of why Wowie always says, or maybe it's Matty Pesk, I can't remember which guy says it, always says the best heroes in the game are not the heroes you have. They're going to be the ones that come from the summons from your best heroes, or obviously you dark summoning the best heroes that you have when they hit like a certain level. So in this case, we have to look at the moveset to determine if a combat hero, what stats you want to boost. Okay, let's move on to profession stats. This one's a little bit, oh, that's not professions. Hold up, there we go. Professions are a little bit easier. If you want a good fisher, max out luck and agility. If you want a good forager, max out intelligence and dexterity. If you want a good gardener, max out wisdom and vitality. If you want a good miner, max out strength and endurance. There are certain classes that are more likely to have these boosts. For example, a ninja is more likely to get boosts in luck and agility. Foragers, your spellbows, your dread knight, your sage, more likely to be good foragers based off of intelligence, dexterity. Gardening, your best hero is a sage if you want to power through with that. Strength and endurance, your best would be a dread knight. Okay, so if these are just profession heroes, you are going to want to max out certain stats. Now this chart does suggest the ideal hero for each profession, but on a long enough timeline, the way the game is built right now, with only level 10 profession quests out, on a long enough timeline, you could take any potato and level it up properly to be like an S class in that profession. There's also crafting, which has not been released yet, but we do know what skills are important. So if your hero is not a combat hero, not a profession hero, you might want them to be a crafting hero. This chart does talk about which classes are ideal for each crafting skill. And then it also talks about what stats you'll want to raise. So for example, if you want a blacksmith, hopefully they have the fire element, you want to raise strength and wisdom. So if you're focusing on building one of the better blacksmiths or a serviceable blacksmith, you want to make sure that you put those points into strength and wisdom. I'm not going to spend much time on crafting. I'm sure I'll do an entire crafting video later. Alright, next. You have stat boosts. There's two kinds of stat boosts that you can do. Or that each hero has, I should say. There's the inherited summoning stat boosts. And these have nothing to do with rarity. These are just the stat boosts that are given to a hero at level 1. You have the green lettering, which means you get a flat +2 bonus to whichever stat that is at level 1. And then it has no effect throughout the rest of the game. Actually, no, it does give you a bonus in profession, or what are the other quests? The non-profession quests. The stat, I can't remember. We'll just call them stat quests. Those are the ones where you can win crystals and stuff like that. So you'd get a small bonus from your I believe your blue modifier. So what does the blue modifier do? It gives you a flat increase of growth percentage. So this hero has blue wisdom. That means that their primary wisdom growth rate is going to be increased by 2%. So if the base is 20%, the wisdom that we'd see for the hero would be like 22% instead of 20%. And then in secondary growth, you get a plus 4%. So if you have a hero whose base wisdom growth was 20% and it's blue, you'd see a 24% instead. Purple means that you have both your green stat and your blue stat on the same. So this hero has a purple wisdom, which means their wisdom at level 1 was increased by 2, and then they have a 2% chance of primary growth percentage increase and a 4% secondary growth increase. Another way you can boost your stats during summoning is a tier boost. If you take heroes that are above level 5, you can apply a tier bonus to these heroes. Every 5th level summoning hero has reached, they may increase the tier cost by 10 to provide bonuses to the summoned heroes. And then they follow a pattern in a step where each step increases the cost of summoning by 10. If you look here, we have a level 15 knight. His best stat is vitality. So he got his level 1 or his level 5 boost by increasing vitality of the summoned hero by 1. Level 10 boost is increasing the primary growth stat by 1% in vitality, and level 15 is increasing the summoned hero's secondary vitality growth chance by 2%. The other hero is only level 10, so it'll increase wisdom by 1 and the primary growth percent by 1. How are these obtained? They're taking the best stat that the hero has. Now there's, as this mentioned, it's a step increase. So you'll have this increase pattern of like a +1 to your skill, +1 to primary growth, +2 to secondary growth. And then the next level over, instead of it being a +1 to vitality, it'll be a +2. And then the next level there, instead of a +1% primary growth stat here, we would see a +2 and so on. And you get these for each hero. So for example, if you summoned with a level 100 wizard and you did a full 210 tier bonus, the summoned hero would receive a +6 to intelligence, let's say that the highest skill is intelligence, wisdom, and luck. The summoned hero would receive a +6 to intelligence, a +3 to wisdom, and a +3 to luck, just flat rate at level 1. And in addition to the normal stats that they have, a +6% primary growth stat to intelligence, a +3% primary growth stat to wisdom, and a +3% to luck, plus a 5% secondary growth stat to int, wisdom, and luck. And that's from one hero. If you put 2 level 100 wizards together like this, the heroes automatically, let's say they both have intelligence, wisdom, and luck as their 3 highest stats, the summoned hero would get a +6 to intelligence, +12 to intelligence, +6 to wisdom, +6 to luck, a +12% growth to intelligence, a +3% growth to wisdom, 6% growth to wisdom, and a +6% growth to luck, along with a +10% secondary stat growth rate to intelligence, wisdom, and luck. The two combined. So, what does secondary growth mean? You might be confused by what I'm saying there. If we go to the hero's growth percentages, this hero has a primary strength growth of, I believe it's 76. Let me zoom in. 76. So it means each level up, this hero from its primary class has a 76% chance that his strength will increase. Now, secondary growth is what he gets from his subclass. His subclass is Legionnaire. Okay? Does he have any bonuses? He has an Insight Crystal, so strength is a fine one to look at. Did he have any tier bonuses? 4 tier bonuses. I don't know what the tier bonuses were too, but the Legionnaire gives you a 18.75% each level up to have another growth in strength each level up. Okay, so primary growth to dexterity, 72% chance this will increase by 1, and another 20.25% chance that the dex will increase by 1. So that's what that secondary growth is. So looking at how low some of these percentages are, if we jump back here, getting a +10% secondary growth stat to the 3 highest stats would be pretty significant, considering how some of these stats are already, at 5%, 6%. If we got a 10% increase on luck, I mean, that's an increase of what? It's a 200% increase? Maybe this is 300%. I can't remember the wording on that. But, it'd go from 6 to 16% chance of that stat increasing. But that's not the end all be all. We can further manipulate this. Okay? We have enhancement stones and attunement crystals. So you have a different stone for each stat. So Might Stone is strength, Finesse Stone dexterity, and so on, with the Chaos Stone being a bonus applied to a randomly selected stat. The lesser stones always add a +4 at level 1. Okay, so that's like double that green stat. The green stat is a +2. If you do a lesser stone, that's double that. You get a +6. Okay, it adds a 3% primary growth stat. So, looking back here, if we would have had a lesser Might Stone on this, this would say 79 instead of 76. And then it adds a 5% secondary stat growth. So instead of the secondary stat growth being 18%, we'd have a +5 to that, so it'd say 23. And that's permanent. Okay, that is a permanent change to your hero in their growth. You will have 3 tiers of this. You have a lesser stone, which is +4 to stats, 3% to primary growth, 5% to secondary growth. You have a regular stone, which is +6 to your stats at level 1, plus a 5% primary growth score and a 13% secondary stat growth. And then you have the greater stones, which is a +8 at level 1 to whatever stat this is for. So a greater swiftness stone would be a +8 to agility. You have a 7% primary stat growth increase and a 21% secondary stat growth increase. That's pretty significant on the secondary stat growths. But right now, if you look at the prices, there's such a difference between the regular stones and the greater stones that some people don't even think that it's worth it, and they just stick to regular stones. Again, these have to be used before the summon, so you're taking a risk there, and these changes are permanent. Now there are temporary bonuses that you can use to influence the growth each level. Okay, so before a level up, you can choose to use a crystal. These are the attunement crystals. So a lesser swiftness crystal on the level up, one time only, will increase your primary growth stat by 5% and your secondary growth stat by 15%. So if I were to use a lesser agility crystal for this hero for level 1, instead of them having a 50% chance of an additional agility stat being hit, they would have 55. And instead of an 8.75% chance, we would have a +15. So what is that? Is that 23? Nope, 28? Nope. Yeah, 23. So they'd have a 23% chance of hitting. Okay, so almost a 1 in 4 chance, versus your 8% chance. What's an eighth? I don't care. I'm not doing percentage math right now. I can't even add right now. All right, and you get the chance to add that attunement crystal here. Okay, you can only add 1. All right, and it doesn't always work. Okay, a 23% chance isn't very high. It's just better than an 8% chance. And you can use a greater crystal. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to hit. I've missed on 90% chance rolls on these. Okay, and again, there's might, finesse, swiftness. The names match, which is nice. So you really only have to know the difference between stone being when you summon, crystal being when you level up. These are temporary, which means you have to do it every level, versus these are permanent additions to your hero at level 1. That's why people like the Vigor Stone, because it adds a +6 Vigor to your Vitality, and that compounds as you go on. Having additional +6, you're always adding your Vitality bonus to your HP rolls, so having that at level 1 is pretty important for a significant increase. Now there are some variants here. Okay, there's special cases. The Atonement Crystals, these were one-time crystals that were given out by the team. You have a lesser Atonement Crystal. These can only be used one time. Okay? You can use them on any hero you want, but I wouldn't be able to put 2 Atonement Crystals on a hero. Once I use a lesser Atonement Crystal. Once I use a lesser Atonement Crystal on a hero, I can't do that for any more levels. So, lesser Atonement Crystal is a +15 bonus to HP for that level. An Atonement Crystal is a +35 bonus to HP and a +10 bonus to MP. And then the greater Atonement Crystal is kind of crazy. You get a +1 to 2 random mutually exclusive stats. Okay, you just get a +1 to 2 of your stats. then your primary growth score is increased by 1%, and your secondary growth score is increased by 2%. Not that big of a difference, but if you're compounding like a greater stone with a greater atonement crystal with following greater crystals after that, you can see some pretty significant changes in your heroes when you're using this. And I need to close Discord. All right. Okay, the final thing you're going to look at for leveling up, the final trick, and it's one of those pre-summon tricks that you have to do, is trying to summon a hero with either an advanced or higher subclass. Okay, if we take a look at the hero levels, not hero levels. Oops, what did I mean? There we go. Base stats. That's what I wanted. I wanted base stats. Okay. If we take a look at the advanced classes, they just have a higher overall stats than the basic stats will have, and maybe some of them it's not by much. Okay, but if you look at the advanced classes, just a lot of their stats are above that 30 base score. Okay, versus if we look, you see a lot of these dropping down like below 30. Okay, so the base stats are just a little bit better on the advanced classes, and they're a lot better on the elite classes and exalted classes. It's no competition. This guy has every base stat above 30. Okay, so you might not see that big of a difference on the advanced classes, right? Like a shapeshifter still has pretty low intelligence. Alright, but we're not gonna see any of the stats in red, and they're just, even if they're just a little bit better than the basic classes, if you could jump up to elite or exalted, you're just in that much better shape. So let's see this in practice. Let's find and this is going to be mostly affecting, we're only talking about subclasses here. So here's a priest, no enhancement stones, no tears. Okay, and it's a good one. It's a priest. It's a pure priest. All right, so good that they put an amulet on it. And let's look at those scores here. Okay, if I'm looking to crystal this, I'm probably only putting crystals here on endurance, intelligence, maybe luck, but even that luck's not a natural boost. That's the one from it having the blue bonus, and then wisdom. Okay, so it's, the lows on a basic class are a little bit lower. Let's switch away from the priest and let's take a look at a subclass of summoner. Let's find one that's not stoned. Okay, great, right here. Okay, the stats are just a little bit better. The lows are not as low. Okay, which means you have a higher chance of getting that +1 additional point in that spot. Okay, and it might only be, right, your agility might only have a 12% chance of hitting. If you stretch that out, law of large numbers over, if you stretch that out, law of large numbers, that's an additional 12 points at least, depending on your RNG, versus the priest. Let's look at, agility again. It's probably the same. Why did I pick agility, right? 10%, okay, so 2 more stat points on a long enough timeline, and that can go a long way when these PvP battles, when they are at their most competitive level. It's a battle of like fractional values to see who wins sometimes. So you might be like, 2 stats, that's not a lot on a long enough timeline. It will be. And then, so priest, summoner, let's jump over and check out a sage. What does the subclass on the sage look like? Can we find one of these that's not stoned? Right here. All right, perfect. Their growth stats. Remember with the summoner, most of them were like above like that kind of 12 mark. The sage, you have strength and dex pretty low, which, not really ideal for a caster. Maybe the sage won't need dexterity, but check these out. 18%, 15%, 22, 17. And then wisdom's up to 22. Okay, and it's these little differences. Okay, it might not look like a huge difference when you compare the basic to the advanced to the elite. But I'm sure if we put an elite with the elite subclass next to the basic subclass, let's see if we can find a pair right next to each other. Here's hoping. Let's see. Come on, give me a sage. And we're just fishing for it at this point. Here, do Control F, sage. Does that work? Where are you? Take me there. That didn't work. Didn't work at all. Oh well. Maybe I have one I could do a side by side. Let's see. Okay, a sage compared to a wizard. Yeah, there we go. Except these won't be good examples because this has a greater stone and this has a... Let's see. Do you have a regular stone or are you a greater stone? What's going on with my stupid wizards here? Let's get something with a subclass of priest and a subclass of sage. Here we go. Priest, sage. Check it out. Alright. Priest and sage. Tell me, do you have a stone? You have a fortune stone. Alright, regular stone and regular stone. That should be comparable. Alright, let's check it out. So here's the priest. Alright, higher. Strength is higher. Dexterity is higher. Agility is higher. Vitality is higher. Okay, endurance isn't higher, but, you know, there was a stone there. Okay? Intelligence is higher. Wisdom's higher. Luck is higher. What was the stone again? Alright, luck. So we'd expect... So... You know, it's almost everything at a base level for a sage is just higher when you're comparing these. And you want those higher percentages. You want it to get... If you have an opportunity to get a permanent increase of plus 1% over a long enough timeline, that's going to help you. Okay? When you have two exactly the same heroes in PvP going head to head, stats are going to make the difference. Especially when the metas start to develop. Okay? So let's get into kind of my thought process when I'm actually leveling up a hero. And I'm gonna get this out of the way. And let's level up this hero. Now I kind of build a cheat sheet so that I know what I'm doing. And I have a plan for my level ups and I can easily see historic data. I don't recommend this. It kind of ruins the level up process, but I mean, I kind of need it. So this is every hero I've ever leveled up, and I can search by hero ID. Oh, it looks like I already have it open. So let's just go to the one that I have open already. Okay, we're gonna search for this hero. Alright, here he is, our legendary warrior, and I already planned out the level up. This is going to be a PvP or PvE hero. And for heroes that are going to see combat, I want to boost vitality early. So, what I need to decide here is, am I going to use a vitality attunement crystal? Am I going to put points into vitality? How am I going to do this? So if I look at this hero, the only stats that I think would be worth actually using, and I'll zoom in for you a little, using crystals on are probably strength, dexterity, vitality, or wisdom and endurance for this hero. Okay, these are ones I think I think usually my rule of thumb ends up accidentally being like if they have above 16%, it might be worth using a lesser, regular, or greater crystal. Intelligence. If I want to boost intelligence on this hero, I'm not going to use a lesser crystal because 5% to me just feels as bad as if I were to increase it by 10% for going for that 15%. It would be a waste of a crystal. If I wanted to increase this hero's intelligence, I'm probably burning either the stat bonus or I'm burning one of the Gaia's blessings here. Okay, so for an early level up for this kind of hero, like I said, I want to boost the vitality early. This hero has a regular stone on it. It's an insight stone, so it's not going to help me much. So it's increasing my wisdom, right? You're not going to see a regular warrior with a 19% secondary chance at growth at wisdom or a 26% chance growth at wisdom. So I had planned out this level ahead of time, and I decided that I wanted to put my guaranteed point into vitality. I wanted to put my 50% chance at strength and dexterity. Dexterity's chance to hit. I'm finding that's super useful for warriors. And then strength is the amount of damage you do. This guy's probably going to burn through his mana pretty quickly. So he'll be stuck just using basic attacks at that point. And strength modifier affects a lot of the abilities anyway. So I want to have a high strength here. So what am I what am I giving up for this, right? I like luck stat. I can't put points into that. I think this hero is going to need intelligence at some point. Maybe next level I might put a point or two into intelligence. I'd like to see his intelligence at maybe like somewhere in the 10 to 15 range, but we're going to see how that lands, how that falls as he naturally levels up. I mean, we're not going to have many opportunities at intelligence here. But you know, when you're putting in one stat, you're taking away from a potential other stat. And then we're giving up kind of on agility here. I'd like having high agility heroes. So, but you know, we want that vitality. We want it early. So I'm gonna go ahead and select strength and dexterity for the Gaia's blessings, and then I am going to use a regular vitality stone. Like I said, if I'm putting crystals on this guy, it's for strength, it's for dex, it's for vitality, it's for endurance, or it's for wisdom. Anything above 16 for me. You won't see me using agility crystals, intelligence crystals, or luck crystals on this hero. It would just be a waste. If I want those stats to go up, I'm doing it either here or here. Alright, let's go ahead and select strength, dexterity. Let's not forget our regular vigor crystal. Add it to the queue, and for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and get the level up going. Alright, we've just gone ahead and finished the level up for this hero. The hero got the automatic point into vitality here. We didn't get the 50% bonuses on the strength or dexterity. Not an ideal situation, but you're not going to see these hit. Well, you'll see them hit 50% of the time. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a +7 on that level up. That is below what I would consider a good level up. A good level up would have 8 points or more. And I'm going to go ahead and add these. I'm going to go ahead and update my sheet here. So I got a 1 to strength, 1 to dex, 1 to agility, 2 to vitality, 1 to endurance, nothing in int or wisdom as expected. We got 1 into luck, and it looks like our HP went up by 31 with our mana going up by 6. So that'll give us some final stats of 16 strength, 10 dexterity, 10 agility, 11 vitality. We got a lot of work on vitality to get that up to 20. And even we used a regular stone for vitality, it didn't even pay off, right? So our secondary stat didn't even hit on it. We have 10 endurance, 6 intelligence, 12 wisdom. Honestly, if our wisdom doesn't go up more than like 2 points by the time we get to level 20, it'd still be okay for a warrior, I think. But how do I know the answer to that question? Well, I'll show you in a minute. HP up to 181 and mana up to 31. Now, was that a good level up? Well, let's see how he compares to other heroes who are level 2. If you caught the first episode of Jewelers University, you might know how to read a box and whisker plot now. So, let's see how he compares. His strength is above average. Dexterity, well, his strength is good. It's in the top quartile. Dexterity is in the upper half. Agility is in the upper half. Vitality is in the upper half. Endurance is in the upper half. And intelligence is extremely mid. It's right on the median there. Wisdom is in the upper quartile. Luck is almost in the upper quartile. Those are all good. You know, just because though he has a little bit above average vitality doesn't mean it reflects how he compares to the rest of the ones, his level. So he is in the bottom half as far as HP goes, and he's kind of pushing up on the high MP there. With a high wisdom like this, we might see a little bit better than average. On his mana pool, and hopefully that's what we see. And we can look at the stat comps here. The only one that is negative is HP, which is kind of a disappointment. The rest of them are positive. Let's do one more level up with this hero. And I think again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push that vitality. Let's try to get the strength. Let's try to get the dexterity again. And I think we use a regular vigor stone one more time and see how this goes. This will be the last one for the video. But let's just see. Let's see if we can get a better roll, a worse roll. Let's see. Maybe we can see this vigor crystal in action. The plus 30% growth chance. So that's going to put our vitality from an 18 to a 38%. That's still, or sorry, a 48%. That's still less than 50%. So this could end up being a complete waste of money. I could run through all the way to level 10 and use regular vigor crystals and not see it hit on secondary once. It happens. But you know what? You still got a better shot than if you did a lesser. Okay, let's go ahead and run this guy through, and I'll catch you on the level up. Okay, and here we are with the second level up. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 plus stats. Much better than the previous one. Let's go ahead and enter this into my table here. We got a 3, 2. We got 2. We still didn't get a secondary point. So we burned two regular vigor crystals and haven't seen any benefit from it yet. We got an intelligence increase. We got a luck increase. I like seeing those. And then I'm not going to math here. We got a 49 increase on the HP. Better than the 30 from last. The 30% increase from last time. And then a plus 6 for NP. So now we've got 19 strength. We're pushing that 20 mark at level 3. We're going to put a primary stat into strength. So at level 4, we will be 20 or higher, which is great. And then we'll go ahead and jump back and check how are we holding up to the rest of the level 3 warriors here. So compared to the level 3 warriors, it looks like some of our stats are starting to pull away. We're trying to catch up on HP if we can. We'll keep pumping points into vitality. Now the reason we're not comparing to some of these other guys with the HP is because most of the good warriors are made with at least a lesser vigor stone, and we're just starting at that base. So we have a lot of catching up to do. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this hero up to level 5. And you can see what's so special about the level 5 heroes, besides the fact that if you were to summon with these heroes, you can do a tier boost. Alright, I'll see you there. Alright, here's level 5. This is by far my worst level up so far. We only got a plus 4, but we're kind of saved by what's called a rarity bonus. This is why I love rare, legendary, and mythic heroes, because they get these rarity bonuses. Uncommon does too, but it's just a plus 2. It's not as fun as the plus 4 from rare. What do we got here? Is that 7 stats? You get a plus 7 rarity bonus for having just a hero being legendary, and it totally saves this level up. It takes it from being a plus 4 to, what do we got? 4, 6, 9, 11. Okay, so this would have been my worst level up yet, but it ends up being one of the better ones now. And our strength is finally over that 20. So, all right, I'm gonna get this guy up to 10, and we'll see where he stands. So here we are at level 10. This guy had some pretty bad level ups, and it's all RNG, so there's nothing you can really do. We got the 3 strength on the last one that we just barely scraped by, getting above 30 at level 10. Good enough, I guess. We're gonna take a look and see where this hero lies. I guess this last getting 64 HP on that last level up was kind of nice. Otherwise, I think he would have been in a pretty bad spot. So where's this hero stand as far as stats go? We have 32 strength, we have 20 dex, 18 agility, 23 vitality, 16 endurance, 13 intelligence, 17 wisdom, 14 luck, 544 HP, and 56 MP. This hero has that insight stone. He's got eye wisdom. Let's see where the average is. I don't know. I'm not feeling good about this hero, but let's see where he stands. So he's above in strength, he's above in dex, he's above in agility. He's in the top half for vitality. His endurance sucks. So if this guy gets pulled to the front line, it's not gonna be a good time. His intelligence and wisdom are above average. I don't really care. I'd probably rather see this wisdom down at like 10 and have those other 10 points distributed, or other 7 points. What does he have? 17 wisdom? Yeah, I'd rather see those 7 points distributed somewhere else, like vitality. It's like he has above average as intelligence and wisdom, but who gives a damn? It didn't do anything for his mana pool. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna be a good hero. He's a full deviation below where he should be for mana. His endurance sucks. And I guess if anything, it's a good case study for just because you use regular crystals doesn't mean you're gonna have a good hero. Because I used regular crystals for all 9 level ups. I think I did like 6 on vitality. Where did it get them? Barely above the median. And then I did 4 of them with strength, and I was hoping to be somewhere around 36 for strength, or maybe closer to 40, and we're just not there. So I'll see how this guy does in the void hunts. I definitely don't think I'm gonna premiere him in the playoffs for the Mythic Squad Boar Hunts tournament. I just with that HP, that mana pool, I don't know if I can trust him. And with that low of endurance, he's not going to be very good at taking hits from boars either. So, if we look at him, if I didn't think he was a failure from the beginning with his gene pool, now that I can look at his stats and his stone, we were shooting for a priest with this one. Yeah, based off these level ups, I can kind of confirm this is kind of a failure of a hero. Maybe I pop him in with a legendary knight somewhere down the line, and we go for a paladin. Paladin with a bard subclass. I don't know. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Kind of a heartbreak on this hero, but hopefully you have a better understanding of level ups and like the important things for level ups are what do you do to the hero before you summon, right? You gotta try and get those stones, you gotta try and get those advanced subclasses or better, and then when you actually do decide to level up, pay attention to the codex. What stats are actually important? Why am I so disappointed in a 16 endurance and a 33 strength at level 10? What do you want to do with this hero? Does it matter? Does it matter? Is this hero, what's his stats here? Gardening, pretty high intelligence for a warrior. What is gardening? I think it's vitality, intelligence. Maybe this guy just becomes a jobber because based off his level ups, personally, I think he's a potato. So, what are his stat bonuses? Did those help at all? Did we benefit from this extra 2% of dexterity in the primary growth and 2%, 4% in the secondary? Not on this level up. But what's a dexterity again? Yeah, so that's not even a very high dexterity for a warrior, so it didn't really pay off. Plus a strength bonus here. Maybe I would expect to, if I didn't have that green strength, I'd be at 30 at the dot. I'd be even more disappointed. And stones are important before. We're not seeing it here, but this was a regular insight hero. The regular insight stone, he had a bonus to wisdom. What did it do for us? All it did was we got points in wisdom where I would have rather had them on strength. Again, this was supposed to be a priest, not a warrior. So, we're making do with what we can with the insight stone. And then finally crystals. In this case, I don't think the crystals really paid off with the secondary stat, but you only get one shot at leveling your hero. At this point in the game, there's nothing that lets you start back at level 1 to redo the entire summon. short of a dark summon. So even if the crystal doesn't end up helping me, if it's a hero that has some potential like this one, I'm going to go ahead and use regular crystals as often as I can, because I don't get another shot at these level ups. So if it gives me a chance at an additional +1 in the secondary stat and a +1, +1 in the primary stat, that's a potential at level 10 of an additional 20 stats. I'm going to take it. Okay? Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have more questions, jump in the Jewelers Discord. I'd be more than happy to talk to you or run you through a tutorial on leveling up your heroes. I mean, there's always the theory versus the actual here, and we kind of got screwed by RNGesus. So, alright, thanks for watching. Take it easy.